Jamiroquai, a funk and acid jazz band formed in 1992 from London. They have 8 studio albums. Their first album is called Emergency on Planet Earth. There are no particularly notable songs on this album. It's experimental, but it's kind of a weak album overall. The second album is very similar, The Return of the Space Cowboy. Again, it's not particularly notable. However, their third album is their most well known album, Traveling Without Moving, with their hit single, Virtual Insanity. Now, this song is extremely catchy, very weird, oddly stylistic, and oddly still relevant, considering it talks about cyberspace and technology in the song, with a rather great beat. It surprises you often with odd changes in style that you don't expect coming, and it's just a very good song overall. If you haven't heard Virtual Insanity, I definitely recommend listening to it. And in fact, I'd actually recommend watching the video for it as well, as it is a very entertaining video. Now, on this album as well, there is a 4 star I would recommend just called Didjerama, which is essentially an odd instrumental using a didgeridoo, a native Australian instrument. It's nothing super notable, but it is kind of a fun instrumental to go along with that particular song or to go along with Virtual Insanity. But the rest of the album is not particularly notable. Now, their follow up album was called Synchronized. This album has their second good single, although I don't think it's quite as good as Virtual Insanity. The song is called Canned Heat. This is a dance song and as well as a boogie song with a lot of energy and a very good beat. It's notable because it was featured in the film Napoleon Dynamite. And rightfully so, it fit that film very well, and it's lesser known compared to Virtual Insanity, but it is worth listening to if you enjoy listening to sort of a 70s esque boogie song, which ironically came out in the mid to late 90s. It's worth listening to. Now, their next album is called A Funk Odyssey. It's not particularly notable as an album unless you really, really enjoy, well, acid jazz, for example. I didn't feel like any of the songs really stood out at all, like their first 2 albums. But their follow-up album, Dynamite, did have the song Black Devil Car. Now, although this isn't as good as Virtual Insanity or Canned Heat, I would call it a 4 star, mostly because this song has sudden bursts of energy that are just infused into the chorus, giving the song kind of an interesting beat and making it stand out amongst many of their more generic songs. Again, this band has a lot of songs that I would just describe as B-sides that don't really go anywhere. They do have 2 other albums, Rock Dust Light Star and their most recent album, Automation, neither of which have any particularly good songs on it. They're not really worth listening to. I'll note as well, Jamiroquai is apparently working on a 9th studio album. When this album comes out, I will review it in its by itself and talk about it in detail. Now, they also have a remix album called Jay's Selection. This is not an album of material that they actually produced, it's more just songs that they like that they completely remixed. So, as a result, I did not review that particular album as it was not actually created by Jamiroquai. When I first learned about it, I thought it was more of a cover album. It's not, it's more them just changing the way the songs on that album were, well, they remixed it basically. Not a particularly notable album as a result. Now, overall, Jamiroquai is really a 2 hit wonder. When I first listened to them many years ago, I thought of them more as a 1 hit wonder because Virtual Sanity was a really standout song. But after listening to Canned Heat as a song, it does really stand out almost as much as Virtual Insanity. So I'd say, like I said, they're a 2 hit wonder with a couple of loose 4 star songs. As a result, I'd rate them a 2.25 out of 5 star band.